Welcome back, everybody. So 2022 is here, so why not think about reading some more this year? If you're looking for an inspiration to do so, Rebel Women Lit can definitely help you there. Founder Joreen Patmore joins us to talk about their book picks for this year. Welcome to the show, lady. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We had a little chat prior to coming on, and you asked me how my reading was for 2021, and I told you it wasn't so great because I was caught up in some other things. But I'm looking to fix that for 2022. So before we head into your picks and your list, can you tell me a little bit about Rebel Women Lit, please?
Sure. So Rebel Women Lit, I like to describe it as a bibliotherapy community. So we focus a lot on books that help enrich people's daily lives, but we do it from a very creative standpoint. And there's a therapeutic aspect in terms of reading with a community of persons. So not only helping you being held accountable to your reading goals, but also just a group of people that you can share your experiences as you read the books is something that we found has been very nourishing to our community. So we have a book club, a bookstore, a podcast, and a whole range of other literary treats, such as a magazine for everyone who's ready to just steep themselves into great literature.
And these are Caribbean authors?
Primarily Caribbean authors, but we're also reading a lot of African authors this year as well. So we're excited to mix things up a bit.
Fantastic. So let's talk about some of the picks on your 22 list. First of all, how did you go about picking the books? What were the criteria?
So I kind of like to think of the books as seasons. So for the beginning of the year, we wanted to look kind of a twist on the whole new year, new me type thing that people go through in the first couple months of the year. So we're looking at secrets for the first season. So we'll be looking at the things that people tend not to talk about as they're planning new ways of living. So we're going to be starting with the secrets of church ladies, which is just as spicy as it sounds. And it's a very, very short book. I have it right here, and it's 170 pages. They're all short stories. Some of the stories are 2 pages long. So it's a great way for you to jump into your reading goals for the new year without feeling overwhelmed that you need to finish a 300-page novel. And we pick books every month, new books every month. And we kind of go by the themes as we're going along. So the first couple months, as I said, we're going to be looking at ways people tend to reinvent themselves and what does it mean when you ignore the past you, when you're trying to think of the future you.
Okay, so the secret lives of church ladies, which you say is as interesting as it sounds, followed by the secret lives of Baba Segis.
Yes, Baba Segi's 7 Wives. So that one is a Nigerian pick, and it has to do with a polyamorous relationship and just the way that these 7 women deal with being in a society that allows a polyamorous relationship, but also what does it mean to have womanhood in such a society? So we tend to look at these very interesting themes. It can get very heavy when we're discussing the book, but while you're reading it, it's such an enjoyable experience.
Seems very heavily relationships based. Is that the plan?
Well, it's February, so we really wanted to look at a new way of Valentine's Day. So it's not your typical romance book, but it is challenging a lot of ideas around relationships and community. So what does romance look like when we're dealing with different communities and communities with where women interact with each other? Gotcha. So it's a new way to look at our month of romance.
Right. So you've listed up actually a book for each month of the year. His
Definitely.
Only Wife by Mehdi, by Peace Adzo.
Yes.
Sula by Tony. When does your theme change? Around what time?
We tend to change around every 3 or 4 months, but I like to keep them interconnected. So as we go with Sula, with Toni Morrison, a lot of people expressed that they hadn't read Toni Morrison when Toni Morrison had passed. And we thought it'd be very important for us to look at such a renowned author that everyone has probably heard about, but we've probably just never gotten a chance to read. So I think Sula would be great. Another short book. I'm trying to pick short books this year, but also deals with you accepting yourself, coming to terms with living your life on your own terms. I think Sula is a perfect character for that because she defied all community expectations. So when we're thinking of books, we're also thinking of how it applies to what you're going through in your actual life. So it's not just reading for reading's sake, but at the same time, you have a whole community of people from across the world who will join our Zoom meetings, as well as our in-person meetings, just for you to discuss what the impact of these books.
How big is your community, Jermaine?
So, massive, absolutely massive. So we typically have book club meetings online, and they can range from 30 to 70 people joining. When it gets a bit too big, we'll have breakout rooms, and that's our online community. When we meet in person, hopefully COVID allows us, we'll have much smaller meetings that can range from 20 people, sometimes even just 5 people if we're going to be doing something like a casual lunch. But our online presence, when we have our magazine and things like that, we're looking in the range of thousands of listeners on our podcast, for example.
I'm thinking I saw an article on you guys in Oprah magazine, am I right?
Yeah, you are right. We were featured in Oprah magazine, and we were talking about being a book club here in Jamaica, as well as Caribbean books, because we are known for being really selective with our curation. And as you can see, we try to look at different themes that will leave an impression on you throughout the year without it being too much of a burden. I take on the burden in terms of picking the books. So I know a lot of people, when you're picking new books for the year, they struggle with saying, oh, what do I read next? What do I do now? And they want someone to talk to with these books. So we take on that, the whole planning phase. You just have to read and show up.
Okay, so we're heading into summer with Things I've Withheld by Kai Miller, Care Work, Dreaming Disability Justice by Leah Lakshmi, Female Fear Factory by Pumla Dineo, I'm going to say Jicola, Serious Blooms at Night by Shani Mutu, that takes us down to September-ish. And then come to end of year, what are we looking at? Give me one that takes us into December.
So one that I'm really excited about is by our poet laureate here in Jamaica. So for December, we're going to be reading Olive Senior's new collection of poems. I like to do poems in December because when it comes on, we just got out to the Christmas season. We know things can be a bit chaotic. So for Hurricane Watch, we can dip in and out of a poetry book. We can read something very quickly as we're doing our shopping. So that's kind of the things I like to think about. But Olive Senior is our current poet laureate here in Jamaica. And I just think it's so important for us to celebrate our own writers who are doing amazing things internationally. So we're really excited to read her new book, Hurricane Watch.
So Jermaine, how many books you read last year?
I am kind of embarrassed to say because I know people get intimidated. I read 122 books last year in total, but that does not mean that I expect everyone to read that many books. I know I get that look all the time, but I think if you read whether 2 books, 100, I know people who've read 200 books in the year, it's not so much the numbers that count, it's the impact that it has on you. So if you read one great book and that meant a lot to you, that to me means a lot more than if you read 100 books.
Is this your full-time job?
At the moment, yeah, I'm grateful to say that it is. Yeah. So don't feel pressured in any way.
No, I won't.
Working another job, it was not as easy for me to read as much. So I don't tell people to look at the numbers, look at the impact that the books has on you, look at what it means for your life, look at what it means for changing the way you think.
You are literally sitting in the perfect job. You must be so happy to do what you love. If there are folks who want to join your community, tell us how we do that before we go.
So if you want to join a community, you can go to rebelwomanlit.com and you can find us on Twitter, on Instagram. It's right there on the screen.
Yes.
So Rebel Woman Lit, and you'll be able to find us on Instagram and on Twitter as well. You can join our mailing list. We send wonderful, beautiful emails, and you get to meet amazing people in our community. So as I said, you get to meet like-minded individuals, people who have this craving for knowledge and have a craving for community. And it's just a wonderful space. And I'm really grateful that I've met so many amazing people here in Jamaica, across the region, in the diaspora, who are just passionate about art and how art can transform our lives.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Jareen. Appreciate it.
Thank you
122
so
in
much for having
21,
me.
maybe 563 in 22. Let's see. Jareen Patmore.
We'll see. Or maybe
founder-
just 12.
No, not going to happen. Founder of Rebel Women Lit with us this morning. Read, folks. It's a year for reading, and trust me, it really does enrich your life. After the break, the benefits of reading. We flesh that out some more. Soon come.